Alright guys, well here's the awaited mini anemometer tutorial that so many people have been asking me for. This anemometer is one of my personal favorites for building small ones because it can't come out. Like it can, but it's not gonna fall out just like any other anemometer. And it's relatively simple to make. Like it's not too hard, but you will need to waterproof it. And I'll show you the stuff you need to build it. What you need is some pens like this. I'm gonna put a link in the description for these pens so you can go get them. You're gonna need something to cut it with, or cut the stuff with, some like scissors or like a box cutter. You're gonna need a good bit of aluminum foil. I had to fold it up because it was too long. You're gonna need some black tape, white tape, preferably this white duct tape because it's pretty smooth, and you don't want those like jagged, like up and down and side to side lines. Same with this one too, it's smooth, but you can also use Gorilla Tape, doesn't matter. You're gonna need a barbecue stick like this. You just need one. I pulled the whole thing over here so you can see what it looked like in the packaging. And then you're gonna need this white plastic. Again, I will put a link in the description for this plastic. Now, I might put a link in the description for this clear plastic. I'm gonna use this for the propeller blades, but you can also use like a paper plate. Like, don't mind the paint. I use that paint, the tiny little probe. You can use this. It's pretty sturdy. You can just cut the propeller blades out and then tape them, or paint them black and then tape them with like clear tape over. You're gonna need a marker to mark where you want to cut stuff at. You're gonna need either a ruler or measuring tape. Personally, I like a ruler more, but it's just personal preference. You just need something to measure with. And you're gonna need clear tape as well. I'm not gonna lie. If you are not using this clear plastic and you're using the paper plate method, then you will need some clear tape because you need to waterproof it. Because if it gets water damage, then it sucks, man. You gotta wait for it to dry, then it's a whole ordeal. You're also gonna need a hammer. I know this hammer's super dirty. I got it from my grandpa. Also, you're gonna need this to hammer down the aluminum foil. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take one of your barbecue sticks, and this barbecue stick is gonna act like a spine. Realistically, it's gonna hold like the shape of the anemometer. It's gonna help you build the entire anemometer off the stick. And now we gotta measure it. Now, because my interceptors are so big, they're usually over 2 feet. All right, my anemometers are, I'd say maybe 2 inches long. Let me check. Okay, I was wrong. They're actually like 3 inches. Okay. So you are going to measure out, depending on the size of your vehicle, how long you want your anemometer to be. Personally, I'd say 3 inches is pretty good because it's just right. It's not too small where it's unfunctional, but it's also not big so the base won't like collapse on itself. Now you're gonna measure that out, and you're going to make a little dot at the 3 inches mark. And then once you make that dot, you're gonna cut it. Now you can see I've made my little mark, and that's where I'm gonna cut. What? Chat, am I tough? All right, now that we have the spine for our anemometer, we're going to take the aluminum foil that we had earlier, and we're gonna wrap it around this little spine. Make sure when you put it around the barbecue stick, you glue the tinfoil on, because if you just wrap it around it and you don't glue it, then the whole tinfoil thing will come off. And make sure as you're rolling it, periodically, you take a line of hot glue, you glue it like that, you just roll it onto the glue. Oh no, I'm burned. I've wrapped, oh my god, that voice crack. I've wrapped the spine in aluminum foil, but this is way too skinny. I'm going to need another layer, and it's okay if you need another layer, dude. It's alright. Alright, we've got our sheet of aluminum foil. Let's get back to gluing.
Oh shoot, need another glue stick.
And make sure when you get to this edge piece, when you get to the end, make sure you glue the end on, because if you don't, it won't stick on. Alright, now we have our little spine, right? And this is about the thickness we want it, because that extra tape, that white tape, and all that will make this thing a bit thicker. So we don't want it to look fat. Alright, now I ended up trimming my anemometer base by about half an inch. About half an inch. Let me check. Where's the piece I cut off? Right here. I'd say maybe just under half an inch. So it's like maybe I cut off maybe a quarter inch. Yeah, I cut off a quarter inch. So 2.75 is the golden method. Okay, now let's set this aside. All right, set this aside. Let's get those pins that we talked about, and let's make the anemometer spinning base that will rotate the whole anemometer like this, 360 degrees. All right, once we have our pin out like this, we're gonna take the cap off. Actually, we're gonna disassemble the whole pin. So like this. Boom! Yeah, chat. I know I'm tough. Anyways, you're gonna assemble the pin like this. So it's this long piece, this kind of like short piece that's in the middle, this ink cartridge, the tip of the pen, and the cap. First things first is we're going to, on the little hourglass, like curved piece of this awkward middle piece, we're gonna clamp this down a little bit so it's like an oval shape, not a circle shape. You want the piece to look like this. Now, I just bit on it until it looked like that, because you want this piece right here, this piece, not to go inside of there, but only the ink cartridge to be able to go inside of there, so that way it can spin freely like this. See, I'm turning it, I'm spinning it, it can't go back. That's important. It can spin, it can go out, but it can't come back through. It can't. Like, I'm not even holding it. But it can spin. Alright, now that we have this contraption right here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this cap and we're gonna put it back on. What the heck? Hold up. Okay, note to self, this little rubber piece right here, you might have to slide it back and like put like a little like piece of hot glue on there and just like smooth it out, and then slide this black piece back on, because I tried to put the cap on and it literally slid. But besides that, now that you have it fixed on there, you're gonna put the cap on, but don't put it on all the way, because you need this to spin after all. So just like take it out like a little bit, so that way it can just move just enough, so that way it can spin and not come out. Now you have the ultimate anemometer base. Now, on this cap, there's this little piece that you can hang to your clothes and stuff, but I recommend just breaking that off, because genuinely, there is no point for this, honestly. Like, you have no use for it. Get rid of it. Now you have your anemometer base. And this long ink cartridge, you can trim to, I'd say, maybe leave like half an inch on there. So about half an inch however long that is, like right there, maybe up here, because you want at least a little bit of room right there before it goes like into the anemometer and stuff, so that way it's not scraping on there and then it can't turn. Now that we have our pen base, we're going to set this aside. Make sure that you know where it is, because if you don't, you'll go have to rewind it and then make the pen base all again. Now let's go back to our anemometer little spine base. It's a cylinder right now, but we don't want it to be. We want it to be shaped like an anemometer. We want it to be, oh well, this doesn't really do justice. Something like that. Like how it's wider at the front and then tapers off towards the back. That's what we want. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a mark about 1 inch down from the front, and that's gonna be the widest point of our anemometer. Now that we have this marked, what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw maybe like an imaginary line, or you could just mark it on there. It doesn't really matter because it's all gonna get covered up by tape. But you're gonna take the widest point and you're gonna taper it off towards the edge, which means it's gonna get smaller as it goes towards the back. Don't be like me trying to cut it. I got cut myself, bro. It's not focusing, but I got cut. Now, if you're having a hard time trying to taper it and cut it towards the edge to make it smaller, you can always take the end and you can twist it. You can twist it to make it smaller, but make sure it's a even like descend, sort of, so it's not just sit there like that and then boom, like it descends. Just make sure it's a steady and gradual descent. As you go, you can trim parts towards the edge off, because I mean, if you want to take some parts of the aluminum foil off so it'd be thinner on the back, that's cool. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, that's not what I do, honestly. Now, if you want to help get this tapered edge a little bit thinner at the back, you can take your hammer and you can hammer that down to make sure that it's super thin, and you can combine it with the twisting motion to get that super, like, not super sharp, but sharper point at the end. Alright, now that you have it tapered off towards the edge, like this, mine is not the sharpest point, but it's okay, it's okay. Now you're gonna take, from that widest point you marked, maybe about, I'd say 1/4 inch of flat. Just keep it the same thickness as the widest part, so about 1/4 inch. You're gonna mark that. Now that you have it marked, that's where the point on the front is going to start to taper off too, because both the front and the back taper off, but the front is way shorter, like, of a taper. Now both our front and back are tapered. Now mine is not the best because I haven't made an anemometer in a good while. Like, I've obviously done better, but this is still a good anemometer base. If we can add some details to this and touch it up, it will be really good. Now's the time for the white tape. You're gonna take a strip of white tape or strips, it doesn't matter, and you're gonna wrap this whole thing in white tape. We have our full little torpedo thing. Now we're going to add black tape around the tip. There you go.
Alright, this is what it looks like, the black tape around the tip. What you're going to do is you're going to take a toothpick and you're going to jam it into the front of the anemometer, like this. Like, it's in there pretty good. It's in there, like, good enough so that way it's not sitting there and it's gonna fall out. But this, like we'll trim it later, but this is ideally what you want. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that white plastic and we are going to cut the fins out for the back of the anemometer.
The back of the fins, like that. You can take a screenshot if you need to.
Alright, I have one of my fins drawn. I can just cut this out and then just trace it on this side. Alright, now that we have our two fins, what we're going to do is we're going to glue them to the back of the anemometer, and we're going to glue them so that way they're like this. Also, by the way, make sure when you glue it that they're going straight up and they're not going diagonal, because if you glue them and they're going diagonal, it's going to mess up the whole anemometer. Also, you can add some glue right there where the body and the fins meet, but don't make it clumpy. Like, just add some glue right there and then take like an extra piece that you cut off on the plastic and just like shave the rest off, like the extra off, so that way it's sturdy. This fin is sturdy. Alright, now we have our little wind vane, basically. We don't have the propeller on yet, so it's a wind vane. Now what we're gonna do is, I didn't mention this in the beginning because I didn't have it, but you know the little like forks you get from school, and they come in this bag, and they got the napkin and they got the straw. Well, you don't need the napkin or the fork or this weird like clear plastic. All you need is the straw. The straw, it fits perfectly around the anemometer. It's not too thick, it's not too thin, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So you're gonna take that and you're gonna cut a piece of the straw that's like that big. Yeah, that big. And you're gonna glue it on there. Alright, I've made my little segment on where I'm gonna cut my straw, and that's exactly where I'm gonna cut it. Alright, now that we have our little piece of our straw cut, now we're going to paint it. So you can just slip it onto the toothpick of the anemometer, and you could probably just paint it like this. Alright, I have my stuff painted, and we're gonna let it dry. Alright, now my little straw for the propeller is all fully painted. We can get on to making the propeller blades.
This is basically gonna be your template. So you're just gonna take this, you're gonna cut it out, and then take either your white plastic or so take your white plastic and trace this over the white plastic and then cut them out. Now that we have our flat propeller blades cut out, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our black tape, we're gonna lay a long strip out, and then on the sticky side, we're gonna line these propeller blades up like this. Alright, this is how you want them to be lined up. You want to avoid putting them in the middle, because if you got them in the middle, it could lead to the tape not folding over on these correctly, because we have this extra tape, but we want that because we're going to fold it over sticky side to sticky side, so that way it gets on both sides of these propeller blades. Alright, we have them outlined, but you can see the outline of them in the light is pretty dull. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold the tape onto the edges. So look at this edge right here on this one. You see how it's pretty dull right here? If I take it and I fold it like that along that edge, look how sharp that is now. That's basically what we're gonna do for all sides of each one of these. Alright, I have all mine folded. Now, these are super sharp and they're very exact, because we don't want
to cut these and then leave a little bit of extra floppy tape around the propeller blades, because that could cause some issues and overall just make the anemometer not look good. But now that we have our outlines pretty sharp, what we're going to do is we're going to cut out every single one of these anemometer blades.
Alright, now that we have our propeller blades, what we're going to do is we're going to bend a little line from about up here to down here. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like. It's going to look something like this. Like, you see that bend right there? That line? I bent mine a little too high right there on the back, but this is what you want it to look like from the front, like straight, and then that tip, the tip of the anemometer blade kind of like points out so it can catch that air. Now you're going to do that for every single one. Alright, now that you have all your propeller blades bent, you're going to glue them on to your little straw, to your little propeller straw for your anemometer. But take a look at this. This is ideally how you want your propeller to look from the front. You see how all of these blades are going the same direction. If they weren't, and let's say this blade was going this way and this blade was going this way, right? That would cancel each other out and make the anemometer propeller not work. So make sure when you glue these on, make sure that it looks like this. Either that or have all the blades on the other side.
Okay, this is how you want your propeller to look. See how all the blades are going in the same direction? They could be going the opposite way of mine, but they all should be going the same direction, even if it's facing the opposite direction of mine. See how they're pointed that way, hold up. They're pointed that way, that way, that way, and that way. This means they're all facing the same direction, and the anemometer propeller will spin. And you can go ahead and take your anemometer propeller and place it onto the toothpick of your anemometer, and if you blow onto the propeller, it should spin. Alright, now to make the actual black tip of the anemometer, what we're going to do is we're going to take a pen, right? We're going to take the cap off, and we need this little black piece right here. This piece right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out, right? But the ink cartridge is still on there, so we're going to take it off of the ink cartridge. Alright, now we have this, right? But we don't need this extra long piece. All we need is that cone piece. So what we're going to do is the part where it starts curving, like inwards, that's where we're going to cut it. And you should be left with a cone like this.
Here's a better view of the cone. Alright, back to our anemometer. We're going to cut off our toothpick, and we're going to leave about that much on, actually, I'd say about that much, because we still got to glue that cone on, so leave about that much.
And now that you have your toothpick cut, you can take your little cone and you can put it on top and test to see if it's too long, if you cut the toothpick too long or too short. In my case, I cut it too long, so I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter. And make sure when you cut it, just go little by little. Don't try to do a lot, because if you do a lot and then you overcut it, you can't go back. You'll have to replace the whole toothpick, and that is terrible. Do it again. Let's see. And that looks about right. That's about as much wiggle room you want it to have. I gotta wait for my hot glue gun to heat up.
1 hour later.
Alright, you're gonna wanna go ahead and glue your cone onto your toothpick. So, and how you're gonna do that is you're not gonna put hot glue on the toothpick. You're gonna put a little bit of hot glue on the inside of the cone, and then you're gonna place the cone on the toothpick. But because the toothpick is thinner than the inside of the cone, you gotta make sure that the cone is straight and not drifted off towards the side. Alright, I've glued the tip on. This is your almost finished anemometer. We still have to attach the pen base, and we still have to do some detailed touch-ups on the anemometer. But if you want to leave it like this, you can.
I mean, I'm not forcing you. It's your anemometer, dude. But I would highly recommend that after we put the pen base on, that you put the special details on, because it makes it look a whole lot better. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your pen base, and you're going to find this. You got to find the center of gravity of your anemometer base, because if you put it too nose heavy, if you put this thing at an incline, let's say your vehicle is uneven, you're putting it on uneven ground, this thing is not going to tell where the wind is going. So you just got to find the center of gravity. Once you find it, mine is right about in the middle. You're going to take it and you're going to put a little hole in the bottom. Oh shoot, put ink on the bottom. Sound like Rick from Rick and Morty. You could probably take a barbecue stick, honestly, and just poke a hole. Yeah, I think that's a strat. Alright, once you've made your hole, I had to pause the video because it took forever. But once you make your hole, you're going to trim down your pen. So I'd say about, depending on how far this can go in your anemometer, it really depends on how much you can cut this, but just cut it a little more than you think you would need to, and then just slide this on. If it's too much, cut it down a little bit. If it's still too much, cut it down a little bit more until you get it perfect. But be careful, because there's still ink inside this cartridge, so just be careful not to get ink everywhere, because ink is not fun cleaning up. And then once you have it trimmed to the perfect length, for me, this is the perfect length. It doesn't go the same for everybody, just so you know. You're going to put glue inside the hole, not onto this, because if you put glue onto the pen base, then it could drip inside the pen base, then mess up everything in there. Some WD-40 on this. You can put a little bit of WD-40 between the propeller straw and the toothpick, just so that way it can spin more freely. That's only if you need to. If it already spins fine, then you really don't need to. But now you have it fully glued on there. You have it fully balanced. And now let's get on to the special details. If we take a look at this old anemometer I used for TIV 1, we can see that there's a black band right there, a black band right there where the fins are, and then 2 black squares on the fins on each side. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to cut out black strips, one right here behind the pen base, and then one right here in front of the fins. It should look something like this. They can be rectangles or squares. It really doesn't matter. Me personally, I like rectangles better, but it really just depends on the person. Alright, once you have everything on your anemometer, including the black bands, if you included these special things, if you included the black bands and the squares, your anemometer is fully done, man. You did it. I really don't have a proper like outro, so yeah, I just guess this is it. You're welcome.